Good morning. Guess who didn't sleep through their alarm today?
Yes.
This chick right here. What's up? Welcome into Let's Bet It. Lauren Javari here with Jared Smith. Yes, we planned out the all black today because we are going to celebrate the life of these bets. We are slaying. Okay, Jared, how are you today?
Slay.
I know you start moving tomorrow.
Yeah, today actually. This is my last show in Jersey City. Maybe ever.
Wow.
I don't know. I can't predict the future. But this is my last show in Jersey City for a long time. That's for sure. Not gonna actually no. I'm moving to Vegas, guys. Big surprise.
I know you post on your Instagram and you're like, you'll see. I'm like, why are you being so crazy?
Yeah, I'm emo sometimes, Lauren. You've worked with me for a year now. You know how I am. I'm moving to Vegas. Fun times. I'm going on a road trip. I'll be doing one show from the road in Chicago this week, but for the most part, you're not going to hear or see me much until next week. And yeah, I'm excited. I mean, it's been a lot. 8 years here in New York, 2014. Been a lot of ups and downs, but excited for a new chapter. Obviously, nothing's going to change in this particular capacity other than my time zone, but
you're going to be up bright and early, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
Bright and early, baby. It's going to be fun.
Yeah,
a lot more excitement in Sin City. I mean, New York's fun too, but just got too expensive for me.
It's nice to change it up sometimes. It's nice to change. Yeah. I mean, I've done 2 cross-country moves over the last 3 years, so.
Yeah, you're a pro.
Come on.
You gave me some great recs for Denver too. I'm stopping in Denver
tough.
this week.
Yeah, I got you great recs for Denver. Yeah. I'll hit you up with those a little bit later. But
love it.
We have a lot to talk about on our show today. First of all, MLB trades. Huge trade that happened yesterday. We're going to get right into it. We have our Better Up segment talking a little MLB action for today. We have a Big 12 preview with Anwar Richardson, who works for Texas right now, covers them. He's going to give us all of his thoughts on the Big 12 and prepare us for the season. Then we have PGA with Diane Knox, Ballas. It's the final regular season weekend.
Wow.
Before the big weekends, before the rest of it starts. So she's hit 5 outright winners. If you've bet her, we're going to get into this too. You'd be up 64 units if you've tailed all of her bets. So just say it. We're going to celebrate her. And then obviously our Pickswise 3-star play of the day. So without further ado, let's get into it. Let's bet it. First of all, MLB trades. Juan Soto. We didn't know what was going to happen with him yesterday before the trade deadline at 6 p.m. Eastern time. He was traded to the Padres, and the betting markets drastically changed. The World Series odds went from 20 to 1 on DraftKings to then 18 to 1. Then DraftKings took them off completely and then put them back on at 10 to 1 odds. But you look at Juan Soto, Josh Bell heading to San Diego, huge magnitude of trade for both sides, 5 players to the Nats, 2 outfield prospects, an impact young shortstop, and 2 really good arms. This is definitely an A+ for the Padres. Yesterday, my brother was at the Mets-Nats game. And he goes, yeah, because he lives in D.C. He goes, there's literally 85% Mets fans here. I'm like, well, obviously they just traded away all of their players. Yeah. And what's-his-face is back for the first time since injury. So, it was a really exciting thing for him. But your thoughts just on this trade in general and how much better this makes the Padres?
Yeah, it obviously makes them better. I will say, for the official record, if you watch yesterday's show, I did say he was getting traded to the Padres. And then I think, Zeno's point about the contract situation was valid, but it seemed like that was worked out. And now we get this super team in San Diego that, make no mistake, they are on paper probably the most talented lineup, I would say, in baseball. We'll see
Yeah.
about the pitching staff. We'll see if Blake Snell can go to Dodger Stadium and hold his water. We'll see if Yu Darvish can go to Dodger Stadium. To me, that's just like the Yankees, Astros in the American League. The National League runs through Chavez Ravine. And I think that to me is going to be the most important part of this handicap when we look at the San Diego Padres moving forward. Did they do enough to have physically? I think they do, but mentally, because they've gone up against the Dodgers before. They've blown leads to the Dodgers before. They've had division leads and they've coughed up, and they had playoff hopes that have been dashed late. And last year, they had to deal with the Giants who won 100 million games. So it's been a tough road for San Diego, and baseball is such a mental sport that I don't know if, even though they're so talented on paper, when the rubber meets the road in October and things get tight, the Dodgers have been there before, and I think I still give them the edge. Even though on paper, again, San Diego, I think, is the better team. But the odds movement, you said, I mean, I'm looking at something at MGM right now. At the All-Star break, which was 2 weeks ago, they were 25-1. Now they're down to under 10-1 today at most shops. So it's been a big move. I would not bet them in the futures market. The value's all gone now. I think game to game in the playoffs, especially if they're underdogs, would be how I would look to play them once we get to that point in October.
Yeah, absolutely. The time to bet them to win the World Series would have been right before they traded Soto and getting them at 20-1. At this point, 10-1. Not really there anymore, but it's going to be interesting. I'll actually be at that Dodgers-Padres game this Sunday. So I'll be in LA for a week, and I'm actually going to the Dodgers-Padres game. So
you'll have to give us a scout because you'll see Soto in person.
I'll give you my very good scouting report. I got you guys. All right, lots to get into today because obviously we always start out our MLB segment with, is the trend your friend? Jared, you defriended this trend the first day. You friended it yesterday because I was right. We're going to go back to it again. The Diamondbacks run line. 10-0 in their last 10 on the road, on the run line against American League teams. Are we friending it again today?
American League. See, it's such a crazy trend because they don't face a lot of American League teams. So you would think most of these games happened last year.
10-0.
It's actually funny because I do have this game in my arsenal today. You're going to really like my handicap on the Diamondbacks starting pitcher, Tommy Henry. He went to a school that is near and dear to your heart, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But I think it's tough to fade Bieber, man. No, you know what? Screw Bieber. We've been fading him all year because we bet his under strikeouts on the season. And, I think Cleveland's kind of packing it in. Arizona's been feisty. They've been feisty. I like their offensive numbers. They're patient team. I love betting them in the walk market. So, I'll friend it. You got yourself a friend in me.
Okay, we got one friend. What about this one? Cardinals versus Cubs. Nerfy, no runs first inning. The Cubs 7-0 to the Nerfy in their last 7 road games.
Yeah, Justin Steele, Miles Michaelis today. Good numbers. I'm seeing a Nerfy rate of over 77%. Yeah, give me that one, baby.
Why not? I got another Nerfy for you. Braves, Phillies Nerfy. The Phillies Nerfy is 7-0 in their last 7 against NL East teams.
Zach Wheeler is an incredible Nerfy pitcher. 82.8% Nerfy rate since 2019. Massive sample size, almost 100 starts. Charlie Morton's not quite as gifted. And if I recall, he kind of got knocked around in his last start. He's been good, though, in the second half, as you've mentioned before. I think this Nerfy is popping on my sheet at an over 30% clip at minus 130. So, I'd friend this one, too. I definitely wouldn't bet the
We got
Nerfy
3 friends, baby. We got 1 more to go. Okay. Rays versus Jays under. The Rays under is 6-0 in their last 6 games.
Toronto's offense has been a little sluggish of late. And Kikuchi, who we've talked about before, came off the IL and pitched okay in his last start. Not great, but okay. Better than I expected. And he weirdly has good numbers against Tampa. Beeks, on the other hill, also has very good numbers against Toronto. Yeah, the Nerfy's popping here. Yeah, LJ, I'll give it. Give me.
Wow,
give me
we got a whole group of friends.
Holy
Let's go party
shnikes.
tonight. You love to see it.
Wow.
You love to see it.
Look at this.
Good. It's a good day for us. That's when you know it's going to be a good day. We talked about Yerfies and Nerfies. Yesterday, the no runs first inning went 8-8. and is now 13-13 after the first 2 days of August. We love a good
Of
500
course.
clean slate. Anything can happen today on August 3rd. So very interesting. I know that you have a Nerfy for your play of the day, but not any other ones. You do have, though, a Walk This Way parlay. Hit me with it. What do we got?
So first of all, shame on me. 30 lashes with a wet noodle for betting another under last night. Corbin Burns looks awful. I don't know what's going on with
Bad.
Corbin Burns. He
Bad,
walked,
bad,
I
bad.
think,
I was looking at
5
his strikeout
batters
prop
last night.
yesterday, and I'm glad I didn't take it.
A lot of people got burned by Corbin Burns yesterday. He looks bad. So I did see someone tweet me that they faded my under and bet the over on Burns, and that parlay would have cashed because we hit Cole Irvin and we hit Tyone as well, who is just, I mean, you want to talk about straight fades at this point. So we're 0-6 with unders this year. I'm sorry that I keep betting them. I don't know why.
We're not doing unders anymore, Jared. We're
No.
just not
You
doing
need to hold me accountable, Lauren. You need to be my trainer. When I fall behind with my workout plan, you tell me to pick my ass up and get moving. So when you see an under in there, tell me to stop because I'm an idiot. I need to stop betting them. That being said, 3 overs today. And I'll start with my favorite one. You mentioned that Cubs-Cardinals game. When I looked at Justin Steele's numbers this year, 68% hit rate on his over 1.5 walks, 71% if you include last season. This dude has started 28 games in his career. 20 of them have had at least 2 walks. That equates to minus 244 odds. That is a massive gap from the minus 145 we're paying here. Then we look at the Cardinals lineup, and I just see continuing trends looking in our favor. They forced 9 walks in their last 3 games against lefties. Those 3 lefties, Mike Minor and Nick Lodolo, pretty good. And Tyler Anderson, one of the best lefties in baseball right now for the Dodgers. Overall, the Cardinals have the highest walk rate against lefties in the last 30 days at 11%. I love this spot. I would play it solo. I might even go 2 units on it if you're feeling really frisky. But it's laying 45 cents, so 1.45 to win 1 is perfectly fine. But it definitely goes in the parlay. Shane Bieber also goes in the parlay. We mentioned the Biebs. He's been a little this year with his stuff. Plus money today for over 1.5 walks against Arizona, plus 115. His hit rate's at 53% this year. So, again, that's pretty good. 57% if you include last season. That's minus 133 odds, and we're getting plus 115 for this bet. And Arizona, again, I told you about these feisty snakes. They forced 15 of the last 25 righty starters to go over 1.5. They have the highest walk rate in baseball against righties over the last month at almost 11%. So we're definitely putting the Biebs in the parlay at plus money. And then I'll give you the juicy one of the day, Brian Bello at Houston. This is minus 210, but a 100% hit rate for Bello on the season. Just 4 starts, short sample size, I know, but it's really tough to ignore 6 walks per 9 in those 4 starts. That's wild. Yeah. And Houston, again, has been a team against righties that we love to bet the walks props on. 18 of the last 25 righty starters over 1.5. They're hovering right around 10% in all walk rates this year at home against righties, the full season. You name it, they're right at around that 10% mark. And again, I look at this number and I see minus 210. I know people get scared by that, but I think it should be closer to minus 400 or minus 500. So I feel good. The only question for me with Bello is, does he stay in the game long enough? If he goes 4 innings, I think we get the 2 walks. So Justin Steele, Shane Bieber, Brian Bello, over 1.5 on all 3. Nice number for the parlay. You'll approve of this. Plus 436. That's a pretty juicy nugget.
Love to see it. You absolutely love to see it. Walk this way parlay. I'm walking this way into one of my strikeout props. I have 2 today. One of them my best bet of the day. Saving it for the end of the show. But my other one, Yusei Kikuchi, over 5.5 strikeouts. I got it at plus money on FanDuel, plus 122. This is going to be a risky one because he hasn't really gone deep into games recently. But I'm looking at the matchup odds, and I feel pretty solid about it because he's going up against the Rays, and they have the 4th highest strikeout rate against lefties over the last 2 weeks. They're striking out at a 28.9% rate. And they also only have a WRC plus of 68. So pitchers are going deeper into the games against them. And you look at Kikuchi, I think 3 starts ago, he faced them back on June 30th. punched out 8 guys. I think he could be able to do it again, and I love the odds of being able to get over 5.5 at plus money, plus 122. So Yusei Kikuchi over 5.5 at plus money. Round it up, wind it up, baby. Speaking of winding it up, let's talk about football, because I know we've been breaking down, different NFL divisions. We talked Pac-12 last week. We talked ACC. Now we're getting into the Big 12. So to help us out with this, let's bring in Anwar Richardson, helping us set the stage for the Big 12 this season. Right now, covering UT football for OrangeBloods.com and Rivals.com. Anwar, how are you today? Happy Wednesday. Is it Wednesday today?
Sure. It's Wednesday, and in Texas, it means it's just another hot day where it's going to be 104 and everything is melting. So my brain is just as fried as yours at this point.
I know, and I know you're getting set for the Big 12 season. Texas, that's going to be exciting. We'll get into them in a second, because I know that people are thinking, hey, maybe they could, be winning the Big 12 this year. But I want to start with Oklahoma State. They had one of the best defenses last year in the country. They go into 2022 without 4 of their top tacklers from last year, as well as a new defensive coordinator. There's all of these big departures on the defensive side. Are they going to take a step back, or do you think that they're still going to be as good? Because last year they were 10th overall in the nation defensively.
Lauren, the thing is, when you start thinking to have the conversation about Oklahoma State, and everything you said was obviously true and accurate, you've got to start and end with Mike Gundy, because when you look at Mike Gundy, for the last 16 straight years, they have gone to a bowl game. So outside of his first year at Oklahoma State, they have been to a bowl game for 16 straight seasons. So when you start talking about consistency out of that program, they've had a couple of years where they've been like in a 7-win. It's kind of about the low. They're always in that 8-ish, 9-ish kind of range, no matter who comes through, no matter the turnstiles, the guys who have gone pro, so on and so forth. So I think once you know what Gundy does, the program that he has. He doesn't get a lot of attention. He doesn't get a lot of notoriety, but that team is always going to be consistent. You could always check the box of Oklahoma State, right? I see you wanted to jump in, so I will go ahead and say what you need to say.
No, you're good, Anwar. I love hearing the Oklahoma State, because the Pokes, man, won the conference last year. Obviously, a lot of potential. When it comes to Texas, though, I mean, that's obviously your bread and butter. Year 2 of Sark. Bijan Robinson's back. They've got this new kid under center, Ewers. We'll see.
Never heard of him.
Never heard of him, right? The best prospect ever, right? What do you? Because I'm looking at their win total at 8.5, and I'm thinking, man, the expectations for Texas are way past just winning 9 games. What say you on the Longhorns in 2020?
It's crazy what the expectations are, but what's fascinating is, of course, last year, obviously, everything that could go wrong did go wrong. 6 straight losses, 3 blown fourth quarter leads. So it was bad. Arkansas happened, Kansas happened. So on the surface, you say to yourself, what the hell is everyone else thinking? What the hell is everyone else smoking? A lot more than CBD products. But when you start going into it and you start thinking of from the talent level, you talk about Quinn Ewers, who is a former 5-star prospect they have there. They've got Xavier Worthy, one of the better receivers in the Big 12. They got Isaiah Nayer from Wyoming, who's one of the top receivers in the transfer portal. He got to transfer in. So you got some of that nucleus. You mentioned Bijan Robinson. And that's a guy who's potential first-round pick. His backup, Roshan Johnson, by the way, is not bad either. He's probably at least a day 3 pick. They brought in Gary Patterson, the former TCU coach, to help them out on defense. So he's been there as an analyst, but bringing in new things and new ideas. And so when you say to yourself, okay, yes, Alabama's in week 2. Okay, let's just get that out of the way, right? Let's not have any illusions of grandeur. and then once you get past that, though, you say to yourself, okay, there should be a coin toss, because there's no one else in the Big 12 that you'll stand on the table for. Oklahoma's going through a transition, as you've mentioned. Obviously, Lauren just talked about Oklahoma State and all the things that they're missing right now. Baylor, we'll get into them. I think it was a little bit of fool's gold, a little bit of last year. So you start saying to yourself, from a talent standpoint, Texas has got all the talent in the world. The question is, are you bold enough to place the money down to do it? I think there's a reward on the other side of it. You just got to tell yourself, I'm going to drink that burnt orange Kool-Aid.
Yeah, I'm kind of vibing the orange Kool-Aid at this point. I mean, I'm all about the Quinn Ewers hype. Like, I am. I think that they could possibly take home the Big 12 championship for the first time since 2009. Bold? I don't think so. But speaking of last year's Big 12 champs that you said was a little bit of foos. What? That's not even a word.
Foosgold.
Foosgold.
Not foosball.
Yeah, foosball. Fool's gold. Words are hard sometimes. They're one of the best teams in the trenches. I know they lost some big pieces to the NFL, but they only lost one member of the O and D line combined. The pieces of this team are intriguing. Can they get it done again this year? Or why do you think that they're fool's gold at this point?
Here's why I'm cautious on Baylor, because you're 100% from a defensive line perspective. They have the best defensive line, I think, in the Big 12. As a team, they've recorded 34 sacks last season, so they're able to get pressure there. From a defensive standpoint, over the last 2 years under Dave Aranda, they've had 44 takeaways, right? So we know from a defensive standpoint, they're really good. But here's where I say you just got to be careful before you go all chips in on Baylor. They had a lot of close wins last season. They had a 29-20 win against Texas State last season. 31-29 versus Iowa State. They beat Texas. They were trailing Texas before Texas fell apart in the fourth quarter. So 31-24. They beat Texas Tech 27-24. They beat OSU, of course, in the championship game 21-16. And here's where I would be careful with Baylor. A lot of those games were at home. They've got to go on the road this year to OU. They got to go on the road this year to Texas, Iowa State, Texas Tech, West Virginia, and BYU. These are all Baylor's road games. They were very fortunate to have all this stuff at home. So that's why I say I'm careful with Baylor. You know, of course, they've got a new quarterback that's coming in, and they feel pretty good about Blake Shapen. But with so many advantages that they had at home and knowing they have to go on the road for that, that's why I say a little fool's gold. I'm a little bit soft on Baylor just because I got to see what they're going to do on the road.
Anwar, I'm looking at the Big 12 odds right now, and I'm seeing Oklahoma at the top of the board. And on paper, that shouldn't surprise you, right? It's Oklahoma. But who has been through more upheaval this offseason than the Sooners? I don't know if I can name a team in college football, especially at that level, at that high profile, that has had their quarterback, their coach, everything change with the Sooners. Now, I love Brent Venables. Unbelievable job at Clemson. I love Dylan Gabriel. He's in his, 8th year in college football. But do the Sooners deserve to be the favorite in the Big 12, considering all of that change this offseason?
Yeah, you know why I would say why that's fair? Because the one thing that OU seemingly does is that they get coaching hires right. Like, if you just look at that, they get those things right. Like, that's not an OU failure when you start looking at them. So you go through their entire history, whether it's past or recent. Stoops, even Lincoln Riley was the guy who got promoted, kind of late in that game, and everyone thought man, Lincoln Riley. And that was the same year that Tom Herman was coming in. And next thing you know, we start talking about him being one of the better coaches there. So I got it until OU screws up a coaching search. I've got to give them the benefit of the doubt that says they probably know what they're doing. There's still enough talent that's there. Of course, you talked about the talent that left, and you're 100% of that correct in that one. But to your point, Dylan Gabriel is in his 8th year. Venables has been solid, as always. And like I said, I just go back to OU usually gets it right when it comes to coaches.
Yeah, the one thing I do look at, especially on the offensive side, is they also have a new offensive coordinator in Jeff Lebby, who, guess what? Dylan Gabriel played under for the last 3 years at UCF. So
good point,
that
Lauren.
could be
very good point.
You're not starting from scratch, I guess, when it comes to the offense, but Brent Venables a little bit starting from scratch, which makes this projection tough for me. This isn't a team this year, in my opinion, that's necessarily head and shoulders over everybody else, but it does make me feel good knowing that they do know what they're doing in terms of hiring coaches. And Dylan Gabriel is the veteran of all veterans in college football, playing in his 8th season. One more question for you, Anwar, before we let you go.
Sure.
Out of these, other than these 4 teams, is there an outside team that you could possibly see winning the Big 12 this year?
last
And
year.
if not, totally fine. But if so, is there a team that maybe we could get in on at good odds to possibly win the Big 12?
I would look up what the Kansas State odds are, to be honest with you. And that would be a
12 to
team
1.
that, what
12
is
to
it?
1. 12 to 1.
That's laying good because they've got some veterans there. They've got veteran quarterback. They've got Deuce Vaughn, obviously. They've got some. If I remember correctly, they've got some key components coming back on their defensive side of the ball as well. So K-State would be the team if you were just looking for a dark horse and you say I got to lay something just out of curiosity and just to have some fun with it. K-State would be the team that I'd put something on and just to see what happens. That would be my dark horse team.
They should start 3-0.
They
They should start 3-0. South Dakota, Missouri, Tulane at home, then at OU week 4. So you might get some good, value in your favor, and then boom, that Oklahoma game week 4. That's an interesting. I'll have to look into the Little Apple there in Manhattan, the Wildcat.
I do like that. Anwar Richardson, we so appreciate you. We're wishing Quinn Ewers all the luck this year in Texas, and hopefully it starts getting cooler there because I know it's scorching hot at all times in the state of Texas.
Great job,
you guys. Thanks for having me on. You guys have great energy. I appreciate the invite.
Love it.
Hey, you have great energy
Love
too. We appreciate it. Anwar Richardson helping us set the stage for the Big 12 this season. Speaking of setting the stage, let's set the stage for the final week of the final event of the PGA Tour regular season with Diane Knox. Ballas, Diane, first of all, we just need to praise you for a second for hitting your 5th all-out winner in Tony Finau last weekend at the Rocket Mortgage
We are
Classic.
not worthy.
Just so all of our viewers know, if you just tail every single one of Diane's bets so far this season for the PGA, you would be up 64 freaking units, $6,400.
Wow.
What the heck? Diane, you are a queen of all queens. Congratulations. How do you, what's your go-to celebration for all these winners at this point?
Oh my gosh, guys, on Sunday, I was so happy because we kind of knew pretty early, I guess, that he was in a great position heading into Sunday and then, kept playing out of his mind. So it was, we've just moved house as well. So we were doing all this unpacking and building furniture and I'm like, everyone needs to stop. I had to make sure we had the TV service set up on Saturday so that we could be ready in position for the final round on Sunday and to see Finau win. I mean, it's hard to go back to back on the PGA Tour. And I'm really going to dive into that this week and write something on that because it doesn't happen very often. Last time we saw it was Patrick Cantlay. This time last year, really, as the FedEx Cup playoffs were getting underway. So it was great. We celebrated hard with non-alcoholic champagne.
You got the group.
Save the real bubbly for after the baby's born. That's even more impressive that it's been so long since someone's gone back to back and you were able to predict that accurately again. Been an absolute joy working with you this year. We've worked together before, but this year specifically, you've been able to really capture the value in the golf market, which is very hard to do, especially in the outright market, one of the highest holds in any market, period. And you've had a very successful season. But I have bad news for you this week. I'm probably tailing your picks, which means you're probably not going. I haven't tailed your picks the last 2 weeks, so you hit 2 outright. So I'm tailing this week. You're in trouble. But let's talk about Sedgefield. Let's talk about this tournament. What should we expect here with the Wyndham?
I did say that if Finau won last week and you hadn't tailed, I would buy your dog a toy. So I promise I will send that in the mail. Right?
Jackpot wins.
As you said, this is a big week because it's the final week before the FedEx Cup playoffs begin, and we'll really go into that in detail next week. I'll write that up and we'll talk about it on the show. But really, you're looking at the top 125 that are going to make it to the first round of the playoffs next week. Not only that, but they lock up their full tour card for next season. So they have full playing privileges and get into, majority of the events. So the 125 is a really important number. So you're going to see they'll talk about the bubble boys, like the guys that are around about that number. There's a lot of volatility, obviously, as the tournament goes on. So a huge amount to play for a lot of guys this week. The Wyndham Championship at Sedgefield Country Club in Greensboro. It's a beautiful course. It's a great tournament. This is one of those shorter courses on the PGA Tour, so a really positional course. Length off the tee is not going to be an advantage. Last year, Kevin Kisner was the winner. He is the perfect type of player to do well around here. Shorter off the tee, accurate, great putter. So that's what we're looking at. Webb Simpson, another guy I know we're going to talk about because he has a great track record here. He actually named his daughter Wyndham. So that just tells you what this tournament means to him. But yeah, JT Poston won here in 2019, bogey free. Jim Herman won in 2020. I think he was like 250 to 300 to 1 at the start of the week. Came from nowhere to win this tournament. So that can show you that really anything can happen. But I'm really looking at accurate players who can get super hot on the greens this week.
Love it.
Speaking of accurate players, you have Siwoo Kim and Adam Scott on your card. You like their accuracy to be able to bet them at 28 and 33 to 1 odds?
Adam Scott, not so much, but we'll move on to him in a second. But Siwoo Kim, definitely one of the tournament favorites this week at 28 to 1. But he loves this course. He was runner-up after losing in a 6-man playoff last year, finished 3rd in 2020, 5th in 2019, and he won the tournament in 2016. So his record on shorter courses, I was looking at, he finished 2nd at Harbour Town Golf Links, the RBC Heritage before. Again, similar course. He's just coming off a top 15 at the British Open Championship, I have to call it that. And last week at the Rocket Mortgage, he was just outside the top 10 in putting, which shows he's playing really well. He's number 47 in the FedEx Cup standings. So having a really consistent season, it would be impossible not to pick him this week because of his track record around here and the form that he's in right now. Adam Scott was an interesting pick for me this week, but I didn't want to overlook him. Adam Scott's a big hitter, so we know that he's going to dial that back. Hopefully that means that the accuracy is going to go up this week. He is playing good. I mean, top 15 at the US Open and the Open Championship. Last week in Detroit, he had 3 out of 4 really good days. Saturday was a disaster with a 78. I picked him for a top 5 and it killed me. But he shot 65 on Sunday, so managed to bounce back. But I like him. Again, he was in the playoff last year. So this is a course that he knows well, has had success on before. So good number in the FedEx Cup. Again, he just wants to better that number. Everyone's got different motivations this week. And for someone like Adam Scott, he wants to climb up. I think he is 73rd right now. Top 70 play the second event. Top 30 play the final event. So he's got his eye making it all the way to the end right now.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about some of the guys that are right on the cut line at 125. But you're right. The guys in the 50, 60, 70 range also have, a little rearview mirror to look in, because the next event is the top 70. One of those guys is Brian Harman, and if you bet on Brian Harman consistently this season, Diane, you've probably done pretty well for yourself. Not as well as you've done, but he's had a really good year. Top 10 at the Open, top 10 at the Travelers, top 20 at the Memorial. I mean, those are tough events. Should have an easier time on this course than those for sure. And at 40 to 1 feels like a decent price with a field that isn't as stacked as it normally would be with some of the top guys.
Yeah, I've won money on Harman this year for sure. He's sitting at number 53 in the FedEx Cup standings. So again, and I should note right now that once the playoff events begin, it's quadruple points. So we're talking about volatility this week. There's major volatility points next week. So Harman has had 5 top 10 finishes. He had a top 10 at the Open, and before that, a top 10 at the Travelers. And I told you my thing was I want accurate off the tee and great putters. He's top 15 in both of those categories on the tour for the season. And I was like, I mean, that's just amazing, unheard of. The other thing, we have a lot of short par 4s on the course this week. So I think that approach stat from 150 is going to be key. And he is really good, 38th in that stat category for the season. So to me, Brian Harman at 40 to 1, I'm like, there's no way that I was missing out on him this week.
I love it. And we always have a good long shot from you, Diane.
Always.
You have a guy here at 125 to 1 odds. Give it to us. What do you got?
Yeah, but I don't know about this one, to be honest. I'm like, no, I do. I've got reasons. My rationale is
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I always need to have 3 reasons, and I do for him. And when I saw Harris English at 125 to 1, I thought I have to take him. Now, the thing about Harris is he has been injured, and he had surgery. So he's been out for a lot of the season. So his stats, you just have to like wipe them off the board completely this week. But what I love about him is he is a short course specialist, that this plays into his game. So TPC River Highlands, the Travelers, he won that last year. Even this year, finished inside the top 20, coming back from injury. But if you look at courses like Sea Island and Mayakoba, he's had really good success around there. So this just suits up this positional, not mega length off the tee, making putts. It really plays into his game, and I think he's going to be feeling good this week. So he would have to have a huge week to make it to the playoffs. His card is set because obviously he's had a lot of wins of late over the past couple of years. But Harris English at 125 to 1, I thought, I'm putting something on it. I liked it.
Yeah, that's a name that that has been, again, before the injury for sure, that has been at the top, near the top of the leaderboard in some of these events. So I think the value is there for sure. Speaking of value, and you find these guys, Harmon being one, Denny McCarthy another one. He's had such a unique season. Missed the cut at Travelers and Rocket Mortgage, but top 10 at the U.S. Open and the Memorial. Like, again, he does seem to be rising to the occasion with some of these tougher courses. 6-1 for a top 5 finish on Denny McCarthy seems like a pretty good price.
I like it. Again, one of the best putters on tour. I think he's 4th on tour for the season in putting, 6th in scrambling, 17th in scoring average. It's going to be another low scoring event this week. He's had 2 top 15s in this event as well. And again, you're right. He's just put together such a solid season, 5 top 10s this season, and 3 of them have been in his last 5 starts. So that shows me a guy that is super hot right now. Yeah. He's at number 39 in the standings. He's never made it to the Tour Championship before. Now, getting into that top 30 and making it all the way to the end, there are additional perks that come with that. So it's a huge deal for you to make it to Eastlake in Atlanta. So Denny McCarthy, top 5, 6-1. I thought that was fantastic value.
And you have 2 top 10 finishers here, 10-1 and 28-1. I know you talk about strokes gained, approach, and driving accuracy. What do you like about Tyler Duncan and Luke Donald to finish top 10?
Well, Luke Donald is a real heart pick, but I'm sure if you've been following,
we all got those, Diane. We all have them.
It happens. It's okay. At least you admit it.
He was just announced as the newly appointed Ryder Cup captain for Team Europe after Henrik Stenson going to live and then winning his first live event. Go figure. But he is such a good iron player, Luke Donald. And I watched his press conference the other day after the Ryder Cup announcement came out, and he said that he just hasn't had the kind of end to his playing career that he was hoping that he would. But again, this is like a skill much needed around Sedgefield is good iron play, and it just plays into his game. So top 10 long shot at 28-1, let's throw it out there. But Tyler Duncan, I had him for a top 10 at plus 1,000, but he needs a good finish. He's top 10 in driving accuracy. That was the thing that really jumped out to me. He played well last weekend in Detroit, shot 65 on Saturday. He's 113 in the standings, so you'd like to think that he's safe, but again, it could be one putt that changes a lot here this week. So his best finish of the season was at the RBC Heritage. Again, Harbour Town is another shorter course. So I thought it was definitely worth a look at Tyler Duncan, just looking at that accuracy stat and where he is in the standings, combined with how he played last weekend.
Love it.
I know, absolutely love it. You have another one, right? Top 20 plus 170, and then
here I'll give you 40. I'll give you mine. I'm sorry, I should have chimed in there. Oh wait, no. Yeah, you do have some more in your card today. I was looking at your column. Give us Kisner and Smotherman, because I have a pick too that kind of relates to that.
I just had a look this morning at what the odds were on these guys. Kevin Kisner, as I said, won last year, back as defending champion. This just suits his game perfectly. Top 20 at plus 170. I thought that was nice and juicy. And then Austin Smotherman. He is the bubble boy. He's sitting at 125 in the FedEx Cup standings. So again, really, coat is on a sugary peg, as we say in Scotland. He's going to have to do something big this week. And top 40 at plus 340. He has to make the cut. It's a no-brainer for him. Like, that has to be goal number 1, is to make the cut. And then top 40. I like that. It's plus 340. Who do you have, Jared? I want to hear this.
Well, Cameron Champ's the other bubble boy. And again, this course doesn't suit him because he's the bomber, but he's got to make the cut. His top 40 was plus 160. And listen, I know that maybe the course doesn't suit him, but it's not a bad thing if he's spraying at 350 yards. The question is, can he keep it in the fairway? That's been his issue this year. But his recent form's been good. When I looked up his recent form, T16, T20 in his last 2 tourneys. So any juice on Cameron Champ, again, top 40 is basically making the cut, and you should feel good about that bet.
Yeah, I like it, top 40. I wouldn't take him any higher up than that, but I agree with you. He's been playing good. This course does not suit his game. and we've seen that time and time again with him that, he is such a big hitter and he plays to his strength. But the position that he's in right now in the standings, that has to be the motivation this week. So make the cut, play all right at the weekend. Like, hopefully that would be enough for him. So I like it, top 40 at plus 160. I'm not going to rain on your parade.
No, listen,
Hey,
just for full disclosure, hold on. I am not betting this because I'm done making my own golf picks this year. I don't know why I even bother. I could be up $6,400 based on my money, management strategy and your picks this year. But it really has been an incredible season. Also, I don't know if you guys caught it, but during Diane's spot about Harris English, she gave you a little glimpse into her process. She needs 3 things about each golfer before she's willing to bet on. That is, again, when we're teaching someone how to fish, if you don't have 3 things that you can say positively about a golfer in any given week, you probably shouldn't bet on him, right?
When I do my column every week, I write out so many other picks, and I'll get to the end of my little paragraph and I'm like, nope, doesn't work. And then I'll just have to scrap it and start again, find someone else. But that takes me a long time.
But that's why you're so good at your job. And honestly, Jared, you talked about Cam Champ being worried that he's not going to be able to hit the fairway. That's also my issue when I'm golfing on the golf course too. But this is also why I'm not on the PGA Tour, Diane, and why your
join the club.
So, you know what? It's okay. Diane, we so appreciate your time. Best of luck with your bets this weekend. Hopefully you can hit your 6th outright winner after this weekend, and we'll be talking to you next week about it. Hopefully celebrating what is going to be a great weekend. So thank you so much. Good luck with the rest of your move too.
Oh, thank you guys. Thank you so much. I'll see you next week for the playoffs.
Bye, Diane. Woo! Playoff time, baby.
The absolute best. Hopefully she hits her 6th outright winner this week. Again, if you've just been tailing all of Diane's picks, you are up 64 units.
Wow.
Wild. Wild, wild, wild. Okay. So Justin keeps typing outright. I said outright, Justin. I don't know. Hello. I said outright winner.
Hello, McFly. Diane's a winner. Whether it's outright, whether
Diane's
it's
a winner.
Whatever. She's a winner. She's a winner.
She is a winner. Winner chicken dinner. All right, let's go to Pickswise.com, Jared. 3-star play of the day. Who do we got today?
Yeah, we got a little bit. One note over the last hour or so, our pal Brian Bello has been scratched as the starting pitcher today for the Red Sox. Very sad. Depending on your house rules, for instance, on DraftKings, my parlay will just be voided down to a 2-teamer. Totally fine. If your parlay is completely voided, I'd be okay with parlaying the 2 of those guys together that are still active. Obviously, I don't have time mid-show to do another research on another walks prop, so I'm not going to just throw one and shoot from the hip. Most likely, your parlay will be graded as a 2-teamer. It'll probably be around plus 250-ish, I don't know, plus 200 with Bieber and with Steele, but sad for Brian Bello. All right, I don't know why he was scratched. I'll look into that later. But Pickswise.com, 3-star plays. We do have a lot on the card today. We have 2 picks on the MLS. We have actually 3 picks on the MLS. Woo! 1 for Saturday, 1 for Friday, 1 for tonight. We have 1 3-star bet in the EPL, English Premier League. That is Saturday morning. We have 1 MLB 3-star run line tonight in the Brewers-Pirates game. Definitely will be looking into that. And also, I apologize because I didn't do any EPL futures this week because I've just been so busy packing. But I will say this. I would take a very hard look at Manchester United in the top 4. I think it's plus 170. I didn't do a whole lot of research on it, but a couple people I talked to said Chelsea might be down. Tottenham's good. Arsenal's good. You know, obviously United and City and Liverpool are right there too. But at plus 170, United to be in the top 4 is pretty good odds compared to where they've been in recent years. So I would consider that. I'm not betting it probably, but if you need to bet an EPL future and you want some insight from me, God knows why I was awful in EPL last year, but that's where I would look. United to make the top 4 and get excited. I'm stoked for EPL to start back up. I'm going to be tailing a lot of the Pickswise and Spotlight Sports Group. Our pals over at the Racing Post do a tremendous job with EPL across the pond. So I'll be giving out a lot of those picks this year as we get into footy season. But that's it for the site.
Pickswise.com. Make sure to check it out. 3-star play of the day. All right, time for our best bets of the day. I'm going to start off first with my strikeout prop. Joe Ryan, another 5.5 strikeout prop at minus 105. I got that on DraftKings. FanDuel is a little bit juicier. I think it's closer to like minus 130 on FanDuel. Got it at minus 105 on DraftKings. So Joe Ryan, over 5.5 strikeouts. He had an absolute clunker in his last start. He allowed 10 earned runs to the Padres, but there is some value here, only laying 5 cents. He's now facing the Tigers, who suck. I hate to say it. They're my hometown team. They're so bad. They have the 3rd highest K rate against righties over the last 2 weeks. They're striking out at a 27.2% rate against righties, and they also only have a WRC plus of 62 over the same time. Now you look at Ryan. He's struck out 16 Tigers across 12 and 2/3 innings pitched this season. He's gone over this prop total in both starts against the Tigers. There's value here. Joe Ryan over 5.5 strikeouts at minus 105. Lock that bad boy in. You like a no-run first inning, Jared. Tell me about your Nerfy.
Oh, yeah, we got kind of hosed. Not hosed. It was a bad pick with the D-backs Guardians Nerfy yesterday. McKenzie did not have it. Walked the first 2 batters of the game and gave up a home run. But we're going to go back to the well today because it's not Tristan McKenzie. It's Shane Bieber on the mound. And I know I like his over walks, but I also think his Nerfy number is worth betting today. Minus 105 on this Nerfy over at DraftKings. So Bieber is 17-2 to the Nerfy this season, 6-1 at home. He's 67-13 since 2019. That's a Nerfy rate of almost 84%. We're only laying 5 cents for this bet, which again is an implied odds of about 51, 52%. On the other side is the question, and I think that's why we're getting good odds here.
No.
Nobody really knows a whole lot about Tommy Henry. He is making his major league debut. This is big. And he is, listen, I mean, he's been on big stages before. He led Michigan to the College World Series in 2019. In fact, that season, he broke the school record for strikeouts. So this guy, again, has had some major success in college. Pretty decent numbers in AAA this year with an ERA of 3.8. The reason that I like this spot is, first of all, obviously making his debut. Nobody on the Guardians roster has ever seen this kid. But secondly, he's a lefty. And the Guardians really struggle against lefties this season. They've got the 4th lowest batting average at 221. And after both teams scored in the first inning yesterday, these are not good first inning teams to begin with. Arizona's 20% on the road. Cleveland's just slightly above average at home, but they've been trending in the wrong direction. I feel like we're in the good ping pong spot here to go against what we saw yesterday with a guy like Bieber on the mound, who I feel really good about in the top of the first, and then Tommy Henry, who no one's seen before, who has good stuff that's been on big stages before in the College World Series, making his major league debut. The lefty shutting down the guard. So we'll go Nerfy, Arizona, Cleveland. It's an afternoon game too, so we'll be in and out before lunchtime basically, and then you can go about your day.
I like it. That's it for us today, guys. Happy Wednesday, hump day. Find us on the Pickswise YouTube channel. Go to Pickswise.com. Follow us on Twitter. Jared Smith, Lauren Javara. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Jared, best of luck with your move. Let's get it. Let's bet it.